Absolutely fascinating story. It's a story of a man who defied the odds to make it back home.
Yeah. So Brian Robson, not that Brian Robson, was 19 years old when he travelled to Australia to start a new life. However, after finding himself in a new country, he quickly became homesick.
Yeah, he was unable to afford a plane ticket home and instead asked two friends to put him in a crate just like this one in front of us right now and post him back to the UK.
I know. Now, we've made this crate. Our team have made this crate. This is exactly the dimensions, I believe. Yeah. Now, more than 50 years later, Brian joins us now to tell the story. Good morning, Brian. How are we doing?
Good morning to you both. I'm fine, thank you.
Brian, it's great to speak to you. OK, let's just go way back to 1964 and tell us why you made the move to Australia. What was the reason behind it?
A new life, perhaps. A lot of promises for a new job in the sun, and it didn't quite work out when I got there because, to be honest with you, the Victorian Railways and Australian government told so many lies. And when you got there, it was completely different to what you were expecting.
Because it was a whole settlement program, right? You were encouraged to go and immigrate over there, and then work jobs over there when you got there.
Yeah, that's right, Dermot. Yeah, but I had a job before I went, and actually, had they have kept to their side of the deal, I think I'd have been okay. But I just also at the time, there were many families going in. Families had their family members for company and whatever. I was on my own, and so I was really bored. Perhaps I just wanted to come back to the UK.
And Brian, what was your accommodation like? Did that put you off? Because I know when I go and stay somewhere and it's horrible, I just don't want to be there anymore. It just puts me off and I just think, I want to go home. Was the accommodation awful?
It was absolutely disgusting. It was rat infested. It was a hostel. It was absolutely ratty. You had rats running around everywhere. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not used to living in a high-class place, but I certainly had never lived or would never live in a place like that again. It was disgusting, really. And the food, oh my goodness.
So
I can see why I wanted to go home.
I get this, but this is 1964, so I think when people are watching, that are younger, watching this now, they're thinking, well, like, we live in a world where, obviously, COVID notwithstanding, it's so easy in so many ways. Like, the world's so smaller now, we can get to the other side of the world, and you can save up and get to the other side of the world. So how on earth did it come to you that you got this desperate to put yourself in a crate this size and get shipped back home?
Well, actually, just for what you just said, Dermot, to get back in those days was very difficult to get anywhere. There was only one jet fly, and that was the Boeing 707. And I went to an exhibition in Melbourne with my two friends, John and Paul, and they were both immigrants as well from Ireland. We looked around the exhibition and we came across a booth which was from a company called Pickford's, and they had a big sign up: "We can move you." We can move anything, anywhere. And I thought, and I think I said to Paul and John, well, they could move us. And we all laughed about it. But when I went home that night, I couldn't sleep. I was awake all night thinking about Pickford's. And then I thought, well, if they can do it, I can do it myself.
And I'm looking at the size.
So the following morning, I went down to... Sorry, go ahead.
No,
please.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at the size of this box. Could you not have made it a bit bigger?
No, that was the maximum size that Qantas would accept. COD, cash on delivery, which is how it was sent, and that was the maximum size they would send. So, and I was lucky to find that box. It took me about 3 or 4 days to find a box, roughly about the same size.
So, Brian, so you had these, I mean, literally, this has got two of my uncles written all over it. You had two Irishmen helping you to get in a crate.
Yes.
Well, you sure the names weren't Dermot and Finton?
I love the Irish, by the way.
So you had the two Irish guys helped you nail the crate and shipped you home. I'm going to get in this now. What was it like squeezing into this after, and how long are you in it? Talk us through the journey.
Well, I'm pretty small, so it wasn't too bad getting in. And we had spent a while planning it, obviously. Then they nailed it closed. I got what's called a taxi truck to the airport, to Melbourne Airport. Got there. Well, within about an hour of being in there, I started aching.
Really?
Really aching. It's really uncomfortable, believe me.
Maybe you should have left the suitcase. Maybe you should have left the suitcase because you would have had more room.
No, I couldn't. That was my only possession at the time. I didn't have anything else.
So, John, were you claustrophobic at all when you were inside?
No, not really. I was just so uncomfortable. And of course, the longer it went on, the more uncomfortable it became. I couldn't move. And my muscles seized up, my joints seized up. In the aircraft itself, there were 2 aircraft involved. In the aircraft itself, there was hardly any oxygen because they weren't pressurized in those days. And so you're struggling to breathe, you're passing out, you're going in and out of consciousness all the time. And in the end, you don't know where you are, and you don't know whether you're actually in a crate or you're dreaming it. You really don't know.
And did you put any water in the box? How much water did you have?
Well, I took 1 pint of water in a glass bottle and 1 empty glass bottle. For obvious reasons, I might need to dispose of the water.
Oh
and I can tell you a story very quickly. I did once urinate, actually not in the crate. I used the whole of the aircraft instead.
What, you did it through the box?
Well, actually, I turned onto my side with a lot of trouble. And yes, I relieved myself.
That's quite gifted, John, I have to say. From this angle, that's very impressive.
Well, how is it, Dermot? How does it feel?
It's hellish.
My friends taught me, actually.
It's absolutely horrible. John, I don't know how you did this.
Neither do I, to be honest, Dermot. And if you offered me £1 million to do it again, I wouldn't. But it was terrible. I mean, I almost died. If they hadn't have found me when they did, well, I wouldn't be here talking to you now. Let's put it that way.
Well, you did get found by the FBI once you got to America. Did they think you was a suspicious package?
Yes, they did. What actually happened was I tried to look at the time because I thought I was in London. I didn't realise I was in Los Angeles. Oh, right. And I wanted to just sort of knock the side of the crate out and walk home, you know. That was my plan. And so I needed to know whether it was daytime or nighttime. Mind you, I didn't know what day it was or anything else. So I reached across maybe 6 inches from my nose. I had a torch hanging up there, and I got the torch to look at my watch, which I did. And at the same time, I dropped the torch and I couldn't pick it up. I was too much in agony to pick it up, too much in pain to pick it up. And it shone out through one of the slats in the crate. And 2 airport workers walked past, and one said, "There's a light coming from that crate." And they walked over and started looking around. And there was a little notch hole on one of the sides, and one of them bent down on his knees and put his eye up to the notch hole and looked inside. Well, had there been an Olympic Games that year, he'd have won for the backflip. I have never seen anybody move so quickly backwards and fall over, whilst at the same time screaming there's a body in the crate.
But they were lovely to you, and they actually gave you a flight back to the UK, didn't they?
First class, Pan American, actually.
Wow,
yes,
nice.
And I gotta say, Dermot, that the Americans, the FBI, the CIA, the American people, I never made so many friends in such a short time. They were wonderful, all of them.
So listen, I'm glad it worked out well. So you've written the book now, The Great Escape, which is out at the end of April. You're trying to still find the 2 Irish guys. What are their names? John and Paul.
John and Paul.
John and Paul.
Very common Irish names.
Sure they went from Liverpool.
Sorry.
I said, "You sure they went from Liverpool?" You're trying to find the 2 Irishmen that helped you, and I think is there a movie being made or a TV series being made about it as well?
There's both. There's a movie coming out sometime next year, the end of next year, and that's called This Side Up. Well, that's the working title. There's a documentary being made of it for television worldwide, and the book, as you say, is coming out on the 30th of April.
Yeah, best of luck with that. Hey, John, do you know who's playing you in the movie?
I wanted to do it myself, but I thought of you, Dermot. Maybe you could do it for me.
Mate, you don't want me to star in a movie. You've been in a world of pain.
Perfect. John, do you know what? Brian, it's a fascinating story. I can't wait for the book. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Brian.